Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 1 of NCERT Class 6 History. What, where, how, and when. In this chapter, we will learn how historians find information about the past. We will understand the difference between manuscripts and inscriptions, explore archaeological and historical sources, identify important historical regions on the map, and learn about BC, BCE, and CE. Let's begin with an interesting question asked by a girl named Rosetta. One day, while reading a newspaper, she saw the headline 100 years ago. She immediately wondered, how do we know what happened so many years ago? If we want to know about yesterday, we can watch television, listen to the radio, or read newspaper. If we want information about last year, we can ask someone who remembers those events. But how do we know about events that happened hundreds or even thousands of years ago? This is where history comes in. Historians use evidence and sources to reconstruct the past. History is not based on imagination, it is based on proof and evidence. What can we know about the past? When we study history, we learn much more than just the stories of kings and wars. History tells us what people ate, the clothes they wore, the houses they lived in, and the occupations they followed. We learn about hunters, gatherers, farmers, herders, rulers, merchants, priests, artists, musicians, and scientists. We can even learn about the games children played, the songs they sang, and the stories they listened to. This shows that history is the study of human life in all its forms. Important places in early history. Now, let's look at some important places mentioned in early Indian history. The Narmada Valley was home to some of the earliest gatherers. These people collected roots, fruits, and forest products and hunted animals for food. In the Suleiman and Kirtar hills, people began growing wheat and barley around 8,000 years ago. They also started rearing animals such as sheep, goats, and cattle. Agriculture later developed in the Garo hills and the Vindhya region. The areas north of the Vindhyas became important for early rice cultivation. First cities and kingdoms. One of the most important developments in history was the rise of cities. Around 4700 years ago, some of the earliest cities developed along the Indus River and its tributaries. These cities formed what we call the Indus Valley civilization. Later, around 2500 years ago, cities developed in the Ganga Valley. During this period, Magadha emerged as a powerful kingdom in present day Bihar. Its rulers established a large and influential empire. Why did people travel? People in ancient times traveled for many reasons. Some traveled in search of food and livelihood. Merchants traveled to trade goods. Religious teachers traveled to spread ideas and teachings. Armies moved to conquer territories. Others travel because of natural disasters such as floods and droughts. These journeys help people exchange ideas, knowledge, skills, and cultural practices. As a result, different cultures influenced one another and enriched society. Names of a country. Have you ever wondered why our country is called India and Bharat? The name India comes from the river Indus, which was called Sindhu in Sanskrit. The Greeks referred to it as Indus, while the Iranians called it Hindus. The name Bharat comes from a group of people known as the Bharatas. They are mentioned in the Rig Veda, which is the earliest known composition in Sanskrit. How do historians know about the past? They use historical sources, which are pieces of evidence that provide information about earlier times. There are three major sources of history. First is the manuscripts, second is the inscriptions, and third, archaeological sources. Without these sources, historians would not be able to reconstruct the past. This is why sources are considered the foundation of, of historical studies. Manuscripts. Manuscripts are books or documents written by hand. In ancient times, people wrote manuscripts on palm leaves and the bark of beech trees. These manuscripts were written in languages such as Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Tamil. They contained information about religion, medicine, science, kings, epics, poems, and many other subjects. Inscriptions. Inscriptions are writings engraved on hard surfaces such as stone or metal. Kings often issued orders through inscriptions. They also recorded their achievements and victories in battles. Because inscriptions were carved on hard materials, they lasted for a very long time. However, writing on stone or metal was difficult and time consuming. Archaeology. Archaeology is the study of material remains from the past. Archaeologists examine buildings, sculptures, paintings, tools, weapons, pots, coins, ornaments, and even animal bones. To discover these objects, they carry out excavations, which means digging, beneath the surface of the earth. Archaeology is especially important because it helps us understand the lives of ordinary people whose stories were not written down. Historians and source. A historian is a person who studies the past. To understand history, historians use sources such as manuscripts, inscriptions, and archaeological remains. Think of a historian as a detective. Just as detectives collect clues to solve a mystery, historians collect evidence to reconstruct the past. One past or many pasts. Was the past the same for everyone? The answer is no. Kings lived differently from farmers. Merchants had different experiences from herders and craftspersons. This is why historians use the term pasts instead of just past. Different groups of people had different lifestyles, traditions, and experiences. Understanding dates. Historians use special systems to measure time. BC stands for before Christ. AD stands for Anno Domini, meaning in the year of the Lord. Today, historians often use BCE, which means before Common Era, and CE, which means Common Era. You may also come across BP, which means before present. For example, 300 BCE means 300 years before the Common Era. 2026 CE means the year 2026 in the Common Era. Remember, BCE and CE are modern alternatives to BC and AD. Decipherment. Over time, many ancient scripts became difficult to understand. The process of reading and understanding ancient scripts is called decipherment. One famous example is the Rosetta stone found in Egypt because it contained the same message in different scripts and languages. Scholars were able to decode ancient Egyptian writing. Without decipherment, many ancient inscriptions would remain a mystery. Let's revise the most important dates from this chapter. About 8,000 years ago, agriculture began. About 4,700 years ago, the first cities developed in the Indus Valley. About 2,500 years ago, cities developed in the Ganga Valley and Magadha became a powerful kingdom. Around 2000 AD or CE are present reference point. Memory trick 8 is equal to agriculture, 47 Indus cities, 25 Ganga cities, and Magadha. Let's quickly revise the chapter. Narmada Valley, early gatherers, Suleiman Hills, wheat and barley cultivation, Vindhyas, agriculture development, Indus Valley, the first cities, Magadha, powerful kingdom, manuscripts, handwritten record, inscription, writing on stone or metal, archaeologists studies material remains, historian studies the past, source evidence of history, BCE before common era, CE common era. Thank you for learning about ancient history.